अनेकबन्धो मत्सङ्गेन मद्गुरो मन्महाधनं मनिस्तारकमद्भाग्यमदानन्द नमोऽस्तुते असाधु साधुतादायि नग्नीचोच्चताकर आनन्दचिन्ताचिन्मां प्रेरणाकृत्कण्ठयोः स्फुर ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, so this is Unit 3, Unit 11, 13 to 19. Okay, Chapter 13. Questions for audio. 1. Explain why worship of devotees is more important than the Lord's worship. 3 to 4. 3 to 4. Why worship of devotees is more important? Here, here. The pure devotee of the Lord cannot be separated from the lotus feet of the Lord for even. Undoubtedly, the Lord is always within the hearts of all living creatures, but they hardly know about it because they are deluded by the illusory material energy. The devotees, however, realize the presence of the Lord, and therefore they can always see the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. Such pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are in fact recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than He Himself. Describe the proper protection the head of a state must provide to the living beings in the material world. Text 12. Okay, I think this is where it is. Everyone must be Everyone must be educated in Vishnu worship and engaged in the devotional service of Rishikesha, the owner of the senses. The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the purpose of the complete administrative system. That would be the proper protection. 3. Explain the significance of Lord Varaha's appearing from the nostril of Brahma. 21 to 26. That is good. There's so many points here. In the form of a board. This is in the form of a board. Okay. I'm going to cancel this. The answer is not directly found here. It's mixed with some understanding. So let me put a note. Then to the assessor. Explain how by hearing narrations of the Lord's pastimes one is relieved of material existence. 48 to 50. So let me see here. Okay. Okay. In his various incarnations, the Lord appears, acts, and leaves behind him a narrative history, which is as transcendental as he himself. Every one of us is fond of hearing some wonderful narration, but most stories are neither auspicious nor worth hearing because they are of the inferior quality of material nature. Every living entity is of superior quality, spirit, soul, and nothing material can be auspicious for it. Intelligent persons should therefore hear personally and cause others to hear the descriptive narrations of the Lord's activities, for that will destroy the pangs of material existence. Fine. Then analogy. This is 40 translation, it looks like. 40. of what? As a lotus flower with leaves is very beautifully situated. So the world, with its many beautiful mountains, appeared on the tusks of the Lord Bull. In chapter 14, question 1. List reasons for Buddhi's appeal. The reason is she wanted children. She was lusty, she wanted children. I desired to have sons. I'm much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. Is there anything else? Chapter 14. We have no sons. And she should remain without children. That's the point. Okay, so that is the answer for that. 2. Kashyapa married how many of Daksha's daughters? Explain how the marriages were arranged. 13 and 14. He handed over 13 of his daughters to Kashyapa. How the marriages were arranged. Marriages were not this is not a normal arrangement. This is only for somebody as like Daksha. Cancel of discussion. Okay. 3. Explain how husband and wife should cooperate for spiritual advancement. Obviously, obviously. 'Cooperation' means wife should cooperate with husband. This is it. A faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires, so that he can then become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. If, however, the husband is progressive in spiritual advancement, the wife undoubtedly shares in his activities, and thus both the wife and the husband profit in spiritual perfection. 4. Examine how boys and girls were differently trained in Vedic culture. Oh, 17. The training of the boy is brahmacharya and the training of the girl is chastity. 5. Why is the wife considered the better half of a man's body in 19? Okay, this is a good. By the Vedic injunction, the wife is accepted as the better half of a man's body because she is supposed to be responsible for discharging half of the duties of the husband. A family man has a responsibility to perform 5 kinds of sacrifices called panchayagya in order to get relief from all kinds of unavoidable sinful reaction incurred in the course of his affairs. Okay, then 6. What guidelines given here would help to reduce the divorce rate? When a man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, he forgets his duties in cultivating spiritual values, and thus he accepts his wife as a sense gratificatory agency. When the wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agency, personal duty is the main consideration. And as soon as there is a break in personal sense gratification, there is disruption or divorce. But when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there's no consideration of personal duty or the disruption of so called love. In the material world, there's no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Okay, then 7. Explain why the Grihastha Ashrama is considered safe, 20 to 21. It is considered safe in the following manner, like this. Like okay. The fixed demand is inevitable for everyone, but one who has a fixed wife is saved from the onslaught of the sense enemies. So it's not just any wife, she has to be fixed in dharma. A man who possesses a good wife does not create a disturbance in society by corrupting virgin girls. Without a fixed wife, a man becomes a debauchee of the first order and is a nuisance in society, unless he is a trained brahmachari, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. So Grihastha is considered safe for anyone who is not a trained brahmachari, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. And if he has a fixed good wife. 8. What was the main reason for Kashyapa agreeing to his wife's proposal? 16 and 31. Wow. 16 and 31. Wow. just because she was talking too much. Because he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife. Yes, he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife. That is 16 and 31. He was too obligated to his wife. That is it. 9. Why do ghosts worship Lord Shiva? How does Shiva help them? 24. Okay, this is why they worship. Ghostly characters worship Lord Shiva to be gradually guided toward a path of self-realization. Lord Shiva, being very kind to the ghosts, sees that although they are condemned, they get physical bodies. Then, what is the significance of Shiva's 3 eyes? 25. One of his eyes, okay, 3 eyes. Since he's almost like Lord Vishnu, Shiva can see past, present, and future. One of his eyes is like the sun, another is like the moon. His third eye, which is between his eyebrows, is like fire. 11. What can be learned from Lord Shiva's uncivilized behavior? 27 to 29. He teaches the sincere devotees of the Lord how to practice detachment from material enjoyment. Although he is in charge of devilish characters in the mode of ignorance, he is not affected by such association. Here also, he remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Okay. 12. Sex with one's wife contrary to religious principles is equivalent to what? 33. Such sexual intercourse is condemned as prostitution. 13. Why are dogs considered a condemned species of life? 43. Dogs are so condemned that they never show any sympathy to their contemporaries. Oh, that's very interesting. 14. List some of the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. 46 to 50. Some of the qualities means. Wait. Not some. We put four qualities. Four of the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. Two, four qualities. So many nice, interesting qualities. He will be an approved devotee of the Lord. His fame will be broadcast equally with that of the personality of Godhead. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying processes rectify gold of inferior quality. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with the devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotion service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. He will be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, like the present moon after the summer sun. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautiful. Okay, that's all. Whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. So from that, any four analogies, 20 purport. The bodily senses are considered plunderers of the fort of the body. The wife is supposed to be the commander of the fort. A fixed good wife is supposed to be the commander of the fort. And therefore, whenever there's an attack on the body by the senses, it is the fixed good wife who protects the body from being smashed. 25. It's also proper. Although seen by the police, a criminal is sometimes not immediately punished. The police wait for the proper time to apprehend him. The forbidden time for sexual intercourse would be noted by Lord Shiva, and the thief would meet with proper punishment by giving birth to a child of ghostly character or a godless impersonalist. 10. And translation, it looks like. Purport. Diti frankly said that her body is distressed by sex desire because of her husband's presence, just as a banana tree is troubled by a mad elephant. Then 15, chapter 15. 1. Okay. List some features of the Vaikuntha planets. Some features is a problem. It should be 4 features, not in the types. 15.1. Four features of the Vaikuntha planets 13 to 27. 13 to 27. Wow, this is a long portion. The Vaikunthas are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and as pure devotees and are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets. In the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and can be understood through the Vedic literature. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desired trees. And in all seasons, they're filled with flowers and fruits because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. Similar description about the bee, the king of the bees, and other and some birds, and also about the plants, flowering plants. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and gold. Although crowded by their consorts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. They sweep the marble floors in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They worship Him. Two, describe sexual behavior in Vaikuntha. What sexual behavior? 20. There is enjoyment of the association of the opposite sex, but there is no sexual relationship. The residents of Vaikuntha have a better standard of pleasure, so there is no need of sex pleasure. 3. Who are the most unfortunate persons and why are they unfortunate? 23.
The first line of the purport itself.
The most unfortunate persons are the impulseless, who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They're afraid to talk about the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material. Such impulseless think that the spiritual world is completely void, or in other words, that there is no variegatedness. This mentality is described here as ukatha, matikni, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. Okay. Then 4. Explain the general qualifications for entering Vaikuntha. General qualifications. Entering Vaikuntha 25, 32, 33, 34. 25. What is this? 23. Wait, okay, fine. Persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are promoted to the kingdom of God, even though they do not care for meditation and other austerities. 25, then 32, 33, 34. For that, I should look at the purpose. In Vaikuntha, all the residents engage in the service of the Lord Himself and are equipped with all His good qualities. In the Vaikuntha world, there is no disharmony between the Lord and the residents. Okay. 5. How were the four Kumaras able to reach the Vaikuntha planets? 26. By dint of their mystic yoga performance. It is said here that the sages reached the passion which built the sky by dint of their mystic power. Six. What is the significance of the two doormen being of the same age? 27. Two shining beings of the same age. The significance of the doormen being of the same age is that in the Vaikuntha planets there is no old age. So one cannot distinguish who's older than whom. Okay. This is how. This is the significance of them being of the same age. 7. Analyze spiritual and material anger. 31. Even great saintly persons like the Kumaras were angry, but they were not angry for their personal interests. These four mendicant brothers were angry because they were restricted in their service to the Lord. Okay, here is the actual answer. The actual answer. The difference between the anger of an ordinary person and that of a liberated person is that an ordinary person becomes angry because his sense desires are not being fulfilled, whereas a liberated person like the Kumaras becomes angry when restricted in the discharge of duties for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eight, explain why the Kumaras cursed the doorman. 32 to 34. This one is not too long. That is too long. If this is too long, I want to cancel this question. Explain why the Kumaras cursed the doorman. One, 8. Nine, comment on the response of the doorman to the curse of the sages. 35 and 36. Because the doormen were also devotees of the Lord, they were able to understand their mistake and were terrified when the four Kumaras were ready to curse them. To a devotee, any heavy punishment is tolerable, but the one which affects forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord. The doormen who are also devotees will understand the punishment meted out to them. The doormen were aware that they were going to the criminal department of the material world. They expected that they might go to the lowest species and forget the Supreme Lord. 10. Why did the Lord immediately appear after the doorman had been cursed? 37. Because the Lord has declared that his devotees cannot be vanquished at any point in time, at any time, therefore he instantly came out of his place. Well, this can be taken as science. He instantly came out of his place and went to the spot to stop further aggravation. So that his devotees, the doorman, might not be vanquished for good. What was the qualification of the four Kumaras that enabled them to see the Lord directly?
In 46, second paragraph, first line, no, second line. Actually starts third line, but because they were sincerely searching for the Lord.
This one. This could be one. This is one. Okay, but there's another reason. I can simply say, because they were sincerely searching for the Lord, they finally saw his personal feature directly. That's one reason. Another is because the Kumaras were sons of Brahma, they had the opportunity to learn Vedic knowledge from the disciplic succession of Brahma. And therefore, in spite of their imperfect beginning, they became in the end direct seers of the personal feature of the Lord. They were submissive to Lord Brahma. Then 50 also, 46 and 50. The four sages were impersonalists in the beginning of their spiritual life, but afterwards, by the grace of their father and spiritual master Brahma, they understood the eternal spiritual form of the Lord and felt completely satisfied. What is the significance of the Kumaras not being afraid of being born in any hellish condition of life? 14.9.
In the first paragraph of the purport, I think it comes some 1, 2, second. That those who are devotees of the Lord are not afraid of any condition of life, provided there is constant engagement in the service of the Lord. It is said Narayan Para, or those who are devotees of the Lord, Supreme Personality, question with people.
Okay. Fine. Analogies. 8. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little, but one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. 33. Purport. Just as in a machine, there are hundreds and thousands of parts, yet they run in harmony to fulfill the function of the machine. In the Vaikuntha planets, the Lord is perfect, and the inhabitants also perfectly engaged in the service of the Lord. 59. Purport. To commit an offense against a devotee is very dangerous in devotional service. Lord Chaitanya therefore said that an offense to a devotee is just like a mad elephant run loose. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it tramples all the plants. Similarly, an offense unto the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotional service. 49. You're sure it is purport on this. Yes. The holes of the ears are like the sky, as the sky can never be filled up. The quality of the ear is such that one may go on pouring in vibrations of various kinds, yet it is capable of receiving more and more vibrations. 16.1. Explain the comparison between the Kumaras and Haridas Thakur. Explain the comparison between the Kumaras and Haridas Thakur. The Lord understood that the trouble was due to his lotus feet not being seen by the sages, and therefore he wanted to please them by personally going there. The Lord is so merciful that even if there is some impediment for the devotee, he himself manages matters in such a way that the devotee is not bereft of having audience at his lotus feet. Although Haridas Thakur was the greatest of all Hindus in his behavior, he considered himself a Mohammedan and did not enter the temple. Lord Chaitanya could understand his humility, and since he did not go to see the temple, Lord Chaitanya himself, who was non-different from Jagannath, used to come and sit with Haridas Thakur daily. Two, an offense by a devotee is considered to be what in relation to the Lord? 4 to 6. What is this? Yeah. Any offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 3. What results from neglecting to care for the helpless? What results from neglecting to care for the helpless under one's protection? 10. Those who are helpless must be taken care of by their respective guardians. Otherwise, the guardians will be subjected to the punishment of Yamaraj, who is appointed by the Lord to supervise the activities of sinful living creatures. The assistants or messengers of Yamaraj are likened here to vultures, and those who do not execute their respective duties in protecting their wards are compared to serpents. Vultures deal very seriously with serpents, and similarly, the messengers will deal very seriously with neglectful guardians. 4. How should one face a grievous situation created by a Brahmana? 11. One may sometimes be faced with a grievous situation created by a Brahmana, but instead of meeting him with a similar mood, one should try to pacify him with the smiling face and mild treatment. Mild treatment. 5. Give evidence proving that once entered Vaikuntha, one can never fall down. Give evidence proving that once entered Vaikuntha, one can never fall down. Well, what? Distance, I can accept distance. What do I say?
First line of the purport.
That's all.
Yeah, looks like that's all. And go down. Therefore, this incident proves that those who have once entered Vaikuntha never.
But which incident?
I mean,
We
Lord
cannot
is
have.
Lord is anxious that the jivas who are serving there, they should not, means Lord tries to favor him always, Lord tries to protect.
And look at this.
Yeah.
This is all knowledge mixed with understanding. So I am a little bit. Yes.
Prabhu, in the purport it is said the case of Jai Vijay is not a fall down, it is just an accident. We were actually searching on this question before. So we got stuck at this point. So we conclude like this, that every conditioned soul's fall down in this material world is just an accident, and today or tomorrow they have to get back to Vaikuntha. It's not a fall down.
No, not like that. This is an accident because they were cursed. Are you saying that everybody who has fallen to the material world were cursed by somebody? It's not the case. So how do we get the answer for there? You cancel the question, that's all. Question is good, but the answer is not here. Or rather, it has to be derived. It has to be derived. They cannot fall down. Even if they appear to fall down, the Lord will ensure that they return back to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. That's the answer. And it is in that sense that we say that once you enter a Vaikuntha planet, you cannot fall down. Because the Lord himself is anxious to get his servitor back into Vaikuntha. These things don't happen when you go to some demigod planet. The demigods don't anxiously try to get you back.
Prabhu, so Lord is anxious for every one of us to get back.
That is general anxiety, but this is those who are the more devoted one is, the more anxious he is. In his anxiety, the conditioned souls, he deals with them as Paramatma, but for these souls, he deals as Bhagavan.
But we were also there. So his love for us, like I am unable to comprehend the entire subject.
That is there. That is always there for everyone. That is there for everyone. That will perpetually be there. Wherever we are, nobody can love us as much as Krishna loves us. That's a fact. But these souls, Jay and Vijay, they also reciprocated with the Lord's love for them. We are not reciprocating with his love for us. So there is a distinction there. No, I'll just cancel this question. Actually, many of these questions that I'm canceling, they need to be redone. They need to rework out. Okay, what is this? Why? Otherwise, the answer has to be some kind of essay question. Anyway, definitely this is not a knowledge question. So this is what? 16.5. Six. Examine how the Kumaras responded to the speech of the Lord. 14 to 16. The sages could not completely comprehend what he was saying. That is one thing. The hairs of their bodies stood erect due to their extreme joy. They could understand, however, that the Lord was speaking in a humble way just to show them his all merciful favor. 7. Explain why Lakshmi Devi is sometimes envious of Tulasi Devi. 21. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is sometimes envious of the Tulasi leaves, which are placed at the lotus feet of the Lord, or they remain fixed there and do not move. Whereas Lakshmi ji, although stationed by the chest of the Lord, sometimes has to please other devotees who pray for her favor. Eight, explain how the fighting spirit is present in the Lord. 26. Explain how the fighting spirit is in the Lord. Okay, only this much. The fighting spirit also exists in the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how could fighting be manifested at all? Because the Lord is the source of everything, anger and fighting are also inherent in his personality. 9. What was the real reason for the cursing of Jay and Vijay? 26. This is also 26. Here also, the conclusion is that no one falls from spiritual world, for it is the eternal abode. Okay, what is the real reason?
Jay and Vijay were selected by the Lord to fight with him in the battle.
And that was the reason. The sages came to see him and accidentally the doorkeepers were cursed. See further. It was the Lord's desire to send them to the material world, not perpetually, but for some time. Ten. What role did Lakshmi Devi play in the cursing of Jay and Vijay? 30. They were originally, she was very angry with them because she was prevented. 11. What is the result of remembering the Lord in anger? 31. The result of remembering the Lord.
From the
First one.
translation.
So this is what he was doing in Mango. Yes.
Prabhu, this 30th verse, I exactly forgot. You mentioned that it is not there in some of the commentaries of Bhagavatam.
Yeah, it is not.
Me.
It's not read by I think Vishwanath Chakravarti doesn't read it.
Yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does not read it.
And I think he says something about it, no?
Asampradayic, he says.
That verse is not in the manuscript transmission.
Yeah.
But anybody
So,
else commented on it?
I don't know, we'll have to see.
What is that verse?
30th Prabhu, 3.16.30. Etat puraiva nirdishtam namaya kruddhaya yada.
Like this, I cannot get. Wait.
Just search 3.6. Yeah.
There is the Lord's own Jiva Goswami. He's saying the Lord's own Leela Shakti sometimes, in order to nourish the sweetness of his pastimes, uh, arranges, makes arrangements for those who are averse to him and those who are favorable to him also. Even those who are his own associates, even those who are most dear devotees to him. She brings about a reflection of an obsession for sense enjoyment and so on. And then he is referring to Putana, 10.16.6, 10.6.3, 10.6.6. This is also.
Prabhu, then how come Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying it as asampradayic?
It doesn't appear in the manuscript tradition. The Jiva Goswami is saying, this is the verse now, Etat Puraiva.
Yes, Prabhu.
Etaditi Padyam Vigitamapi. Vigitamapi, even though it is controversial, its presence is not accepted. Sarvatra Drishyate Gujaradeshe tu Tika cha asti. It is seen in all the manuscripts. And in the manuscripts from Gujarat, Bhavarta Deepika commentary also exists for this. Sarvatra Drishtamapi. Chakravarti also says, even though it is seen in all the manuscript traditions, there's Sampradayikatvat. It is not in line with Sampradaya. Navyakyatam. I think Sampradayikatva is the same as Vigitatva. Anyway, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is included.
Rav, is there a way to understand such
apparent? In that case, they should be understood the way Jiva Goswami has explained it. Jiva Goswami has explained it that this is an arrangement by the Lord's Leela Shakti, so that there is a reflection of Vishaya, Avesha, etc. His description is also quite elaborate.
So I was asking that if like some new person, although no new person will go this deep, but suppose if someone asks that how to reconcile or maybe harmonize or understand that one acharya is mentioning another acharya is not mentioning.
No, because one acharya is saying that you have to understand it only in a particular manner. You cannot go by the face value of it. You cannot go by the face value of it. If you go by the face value of it, it looks like Vaikuntha is a place where the husband cannot even protect his servants from his wife. So therefore, you cannot go by the superficial meaning of the words. That is the point. It should be understood in a particular manner. Because the superficial meaning is certainly asampradayikatva. There is some asampradayic. That is not in line with the teachings of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, Bhagavata Sampradaya. So he prefers not to explain it. Whereas Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami, they do explain it. Okay, fine. Let's go on. 11. What is the result of remembering the Lord in anger? 31. We saw that. 12. Explain the significance of this incident happening at the gate of Vaikuntha. 32. It is clear from this verse that all the incidents took place at the entrance of Vaikuntha Loka. In other words, the sages were not actually within Vaikuntha Loka, but were at the gate. It could be asked, how could they return to the material world if they entered Vaikuntha Loka? But factually, they did not enter, and therefore they returned. There are many similar incidents where great yogis and brahmanas, by dint of their yoga practice, have gone from this material world to Vaikuntha Loka, but they were not meant to stay there. They came back. Okay, analogies. 5. What is there? What it looks like. The translation of a wrong act committed by a servant. leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. 23. Purport. When there's a fight between two persons, each of them protects the upper part of the body, the head, the arms. What is this? The head, the arms, and the belly. Similarly, for the actual human civilization, the best part of the social body, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, the intelligent class of men, the military class, and the versatile men, should be given special protection. 26 purport. It was the Lord's desire to send Jay and Vijay to the material world, not perpetually, but for some time. Therefore, just as on a theatrical stage, someone takes a part of enemy to the proprietor of the stage, although the play is for a short time, and there is no permanent enmity between the servant and the proprietor, so the Surajanas, devotees, were cursed by the sages to go to the Asurajana or atheistic family. There should be no comma here. If there was a comma there, also it should not be there. Or atheistic families. We'll stop with this. So tomorrow we have to resume from 17, 18, 19, and we'll also take up discussion topics. Okay. Anshara Buddha Vishnu Pasindhu Kiyo Sapritana Pavane Pyo Vishnu Pyo Namah